Good evening, guys. In the last session, we have seen what is Git client and why we need to use Git client. So for every project, one repository will be created in the GitHub. That is a central repository. All the developers who are working in the project will be connected to that repository using repository URL. So we have created a Git repository for our project. Go to your repositories here. Then I have created one Git repository. This repository is currently empty. This repository is currently empty. We can copy the repository URL. So we are already able to take the URL for our repository. For every repository, one URL will be available. All the users who want to use this repository will connect with that URL. In order to connect with the Git repository is available in our system, or Git repository is available in the GitHub cloud platform. Where is GitHub repository available? GitHub repository is available in cloud platform. GitHub repository is available in cloud platform. So we need to install a client software in our machine, and by using that client software, we can connect with the GitHub repository. We have only one client, or we are having several clients to connect with the Git repositories? We are having several clients to connect with the Git repositories. You can use any one of the client to connect with the Git repository. Git bash you can use, Git GUI you can use, the Tota is Git you can use, a source tree, like that. There are so many client softwares are available in order to use. In the last session, we started using Git bash. So we have downloaded a Git client. We have downloaded a Git client and we started using that Git client, right? So in order to use the Git client, first we will go to Git bash, open Git bash, show more options, go to Git bash option here. Go to Git bash option here. Let me go to GitHub work. So I need to open Git bash from here. Show more. Let me delete this, all the things from here. Currently my folder is empty, nothing is available. Right click, show more options, Git bash here. Right, fine. So I'm able to open Git bash. First of all, if you want to understand the commands of the Git help command, it will list down all the commands related to Git which are very frequently used and which are very important. The frequently used Git commands we can access by using Git help command. If you want to understand the purpose of a particular Git command, if you want to understand the purpose of a particular Git command, Git help command name, Git help pull. I want to see the documentation of the pull command. So it is displaying the documentation of the pull command. Right. Next one. There are some other commands also. Before going to do any operation with the Git, first we are going to use Git config command. We can configure our email ID and we can configure our name to the GitHub. We are introducing ourselves to the GitHub by using our name and by using our email. Now after that, we have used a command called git init command. Can you guys tell me what is the purpose of git init command? Git init command is used to initialize our folder as a .git folder. It is used to initialize our folder as a .git folder. Are you clear with my point? It is used to initialize our folder as a .git folder. Now here repository already created. For the repository, the URL is already available. Now, can you download the repository from GitHub to our local system? Can we download that repository from GitHub repository to local? What is the command we are going to use? Git clone, paste that URL. Now we are able to download that repository. So that repository is an empty repository. We are able to download. So now our project repository is downloaded, which is 01 Devops app. That is the name of our repository. Let's get into that repository, cd space 01 Devops app. Now currently I am pointing to that repository. Do we have anything in this repository folder? Nothing we have. So what is the command I have used to download the repository from GitHub to my local? So GitHub repository is available, which is a central repository. Now I have cloned that repository by using git clone command. So what is the purpose of git clone? Git clone is used to download the repository from central to local. Once it is downloaded, you can see git status. What is the purpose of git status command? Status command will display, are there any changes in the local? Are there any changes in the local that will be displayed by using status command, git status? Currently, it is displaying any changes or not displaying any changes? Currently, it is not displaying any changes to us. Next one. Let me create one empty file, guys. I'm creating one file with a name called touch.demo.java. Touch is the command which is used to create a empty file. Empty file touch demo.java file is created. Now let us see git status. Let us see git status. Now the file is staged, unstaged, or untracked. What is the status of the file now? It is untracked. What is the meaning of untracked file? What is the meaning of untracked file? When you will get it as a untracked? When the file is newly created, then we will get it as a untracked file. Now I want to stage this file. So can we commit untracked files directly to the repository, or we cannot commit untracked files to the repository directly? Can we commit untracked files to the repository directly? We cannot commit untracked files to the repository directly. We cannot commit untracked files to the repository directly. We need to stage that file. Git add dot. If you want to stage a particular file, then you can use git add demo.java. That is the file name. Add it. Now file is staged. Can you see git status? Changes to be committed. Changes to be committed. Now that file is staged. Can we unstage that file? File which is staged nothing but that file is eligible for commit. So whenever you create a file, you need to stage that file, then only you can commit. So what is the command I'm using to stage that file? Git add demo.java. Right. Once we stage that file, if you want, you can unstage that file also. Okay, fine, no problem. I want to commit this file. Git commit -m space. Why we are committing? My first commit. So it is asking the reason. So we need to provide the reason why we are committing. Is it a development change? Is it a bug fix change? Why we are changing that repository code? That we need to provide as a message. Why? That message we need to provide. Git commit -m first commit. Okay, I have done the commit. When I have done the commit, guys, is it reflecting in the GitHub repository? Whatever the file I have committed, am I able to see that file? Am I able to see that file in the repository? No. GitHub will maintain two repositories, guys. One is called local repository. Another one is called as central repository. Whenever you do the commit, first it will store in the local repository. From the local, you need to push that change to central repository. So what is the option we need to use to push that? There is a command called git push command. There is a command called git push command. Whenever you do the push, it is asking to sign in. It is asking to sign in to the GitHub account. Sign in with your browser. Okay, now click on sign in with your browser. You enter the credentials of your GitHub. First time it is going to ask you like this. Authentication succeeded. Now, can you see my push is successful? Can you see my push is successful? Yes, my push is successful. Go here, refresh this repository. Now, can you see in this repository, I have committed demo.java file just 1 minute ago. Am I able to push the change to the repository? Am I able to push my file to central repository? Am I able to push the change to central repository? So what are the commands I have executed? First, I have created a file. Then I have staged that file. Then I have committed that file. Then I have pushed that file. When you do the guys, most of the people will do the mistake. They will execute the git commands from outside of the project folder. No, you need to execute that inside the project folder. So currently 01 DevOps app is my project folder. Inside the project folder, we need to execute these commands. So are we able to commit it? Are we able to commit it? Okay, fine. We are able to commit it. Now, let me go and modify this file, guys. Let me go and modify this file, edit it. Now, I'm going to create it. It is a Java class. So I'm going to make it as a class demo. Some code I have written, forget about it. What is that code? I have done some changes to that file. How can I check? Are there any changes in my local? How can we check? Are there any changes in the local? What is the command we need to use to check changes in the local? Git status. Now, so what is the status of my file? What is the status of my file now? What is the status of my file now? Can I say my file status is a demo.java? Can I say my file status is demo.java file is in the unstaged state? Unstaged state. Can I stage that file? Can I stage that file? What is the command to stage that file? Git add dot. Dot means it is going to consider all the files which are changed. If you want to stage particular file, you can give that file name. Now git add dot. Fine. Now git status. What is the current status of that file? What is the current status of that file? The file is staged. Can we do unstage of that file? Can I do unstage of that file? Git restore command, restore -staged file name to unstage. So now that file is currently in the staged state. That file is eligible for commit. Currently the file is in the staged state. It is eligible for commit. I can do unstage of that file also by using a command called git restore -staged. -staged, the file name is demo.java. Now see git status. File again came to unstaged state. File again came to unstaged state. Here I used restore command to unstage. Now it is asking me to execute restore to discard the changes. So whatever the changes I have done in the file, I can ignore those changes by using restore. So the restore purpose is the same. The restore command is working with different behaviors. When the file is staged, restore is used to unstage that file. When the file is unstaged, restore is used to remove the changes in the file. So can I say restore is a polymorphic command? Restore is having a fixed functionality. Restore functionality is changing based on the file status. Restore is having a fixed functionality, or restore command is changing based on the file status. You see that, you see this. When I have done the staging of the file, I used restore to unstage. Restore, can I say that restore is used to unstage the file? Yes, here I used restore to unstage the file. But here what is the restore is telling? Restore to discard the changes in the working directory. Already my file is unstaged by using restore command. Then again it is telling to use the restore to discard the changes in the working tree. That means whatever the changes you have done in the file, you can discard those changes by using restore. So restore command is having a fixed functionality. Restore command is having functionality depends on the file current status. Restore command functionality depends on the file status. Okay. Now currently my file is in the unstaged state. Now can you tell me how to stage this file now? Can you tell me how to stage this file now? What is the command? Git add dot file is staged. File is staged. What is the next step after the file staged? Git commit -m file modified. File modified. So when I do the commit, is that commit is going to central repository directly? Commit is not going to central repository directly. Not directly. Currently, this file doesn't have any data in the central repository. The file is committed to local repository. Now we need to commit that file to central repository. Can you guys tell me what is the command I need to use to push this file to central repository? Git push command. Git push command. Now, is it asking my credentials or it is directly pushing? Is it asking my credentials or is it pushing directly? Only first time it is going to ask your credentials. Only first time It is going to ask your credentials. Now I am able to push my file to central repository directly. Now refresh. Can you open this file? So whatever the code change I have done in the Java file, is it reflecting in the remote repository now? Is it reflecting in the remote repository now? Yes, we are able to see that the file is reflecting in the remote repository. Are you guys clear with my point? Now, how can you take this repository from the GitHub to your local system? Now I am a developer. I have committed my changes to the repository. How can you take this repository into your system, guys? What command you will use? First time you want to take this repository, what is the command you will use? Git to clone URL. Git to clone URL. So what is the purpose of git to clone command? What is the purpose of git to clone command? It is used to download the repository from GitHub central repository to local repository. It is used to download the project from GitHub central repository to local repository. We are going to use clone command. Okay. Now, guys, see, sir, from GitHub, when I'm doing the commit, how it will understand this change should be committed to particular repository? How it will understand when I do commits? I will be working on the multiple projects. When I do the commit, how the GitHub will understand this commit should go to particular repository? That's where .git folder will play the important role. In the .git folder, can you see config file? Open this config file. Open this config file. In this config file, your repository URL is configured or not? Inside the .git folder, whenever you clone the repository, you are getting the .git folder. When you go to the .git folder, there is a config file. When you open that config file, you can see that repository URL is already configured in that. So when you do some changes from this folder, when you do some changes from this folder 01 Devops app, it already configured that repository URL here. Whatever the change you do from the git bash, that will go and reflect in this repository. The repository URL already available. So with this, are you able to understand what is init command, what is clone command, what is add command, what is status command, what is commit, what is push? Are you able to understand all those commands? Are you able to understand all those commands? Git help command, git config command, git init command, git clone command, git status command, git add command, git commit command. What is the purpose of git commit command? Can you guys tell me what is the purpose of git commit command? It is used to commit staged files to Git local repository in our system. How the Maven is creating a local repository, Git also will create a local repository in our system. So whenever you do the commit, it is used to commit the staged files to Git local repository. What is the syntax of this command? $git commit -m reason for commit. Why are you committing that? That reason you need to provide whenever you are doing a git commit. Now, what is the purpose of push command? What is the purpose of push command? To commit, to push changes from git local repo to git local repository to git central repository. Central repository is also called as remote repository. Central repository is also called as remote repository. Okay, so with this we understood what are the things that we need to do when we are working with these commands in the git. Okay, right. So what are the steps? Steps to push code to GitHub central repository. GitHub central repository. So what we are doing here, create one public repository in GitHub. Create one public repository in the GitHub. Clone GitHub repository using git clone command. Okay, create one public repository in the GitHub, then clone that repository using git clone command $git clone that URL. What URL? Repo URL, git repo URL we need to give. Navigate inside, navigate to repository folder, navigate to repository folder. Okay, next one, create one empty file, create one file in repository folder, create one file in repository folder. Check the status of the file, check status of the file using git status command, git status command. Add the file to staging area, add file to staging area using git add command, add the file to staging area using git add command. So here I'm doing git status, create one file in the repository folder. How to create a file in the repository folder? Touch command, touch demo.java. Check status of the file using git status command. It will display as untracked. It will display as untracked file because it is newly created. Add file to staging area using git add command, git add dot. It is going to add it. Commit the file to git local repository. Commit file to git local repository. How to do that commit, guys? Git commit -m commit message. Why are you committing? Then push the file to push file from git local repository to git central repository. Push file from git local repository to git central repository using git push command, using git push command, git push. Note, when we do push for first time, if we are doing, okay, if we are doing, if you are doing, if you are doing git push for first time, if you are doing git push for first time, it will ask to, it will ask to enter your GitHub account password. It will ask you to enter your GitHub account password. Now in my system, is it asking me to enter the password when I do the push? Now see here, I'm going to create one more file, touch it, driver.java. I have created one file. Now see git status. What is the status of the file? Untracked file. Let me add that file to staging area. Git add dot, file added to staging area. See the status, git status, file is a staged file. File is in the staged state. Git commit -m created driver class, created driver class. That is the message, committed. Then do git push. I'm doing the git push. Is it asking my password? Is it asking my password? It's not asking my password because already it asked my password earlier because I'm using the same laptop to take the Java classes also. In the Java classes, I'm using GitHub. So my credentials are already stored in the system. That's why it is not asking. When you do the push for first time, it will ask your GitHub account password. You need to enter that password. Then only your push will become success. Otherwise, your push will be rejected. Now, can you see my push got success? Am I able to commit? Am I able to push driver.java new file? Am I able to push driver.java new file into this repository? Now, how other people can take the files which I have pushed in the repository? They can clone my repository. They can clone my repository. Now, are you guys able to understand the steps? Steps to push code to GitHub central repository. Create one public repository in GitHub. It will generate a repository URL. Take GitHub repo URL. Note down GitHub repo URL. Once the URL generated, clone GitHub repository using git clone command. Git clone repo URL. Navigate to repository folder. Create one file in the repository folder, touch demo.java. That file is empty file created. Check the status of the file using status command. that for currently that file status will be untracked. Then add the file to staging area using add command. The files which are added to staging area, only those files are eligible for commit. Add the file to staging area, only those files are eligible for commit. Commit the file to local repository. Git commit -m commit message. Why are you committing that commit message? We have to check it. Then once you have done the commit, it is stored only in the local repository. From the local, we need to push that code to central repository. For that, we are using git push command. So if you are doing the git push for first time, it will ask to enter your GitHub account password. If you enter the password correctly, then only it will accept your push. Otherwise, it will not accept your push. Some people may get a problem with the push command. Guys, earlier you used one GitHub account. Now you are using another GitHub account. Then your push may not work because already the GitHub credentials are stored in your system. Okay, how to remove already saved Git credentials? Is it asking my password? No. Suppose for example, your laptop is already used by somebody who used their GitHub account. Now you are using Git from your account. Okay, so will their password will work for your account? Will not work for your account. Okay, now sir, how to remove the saved Git password? There is an option. Go to Windows credentials option, guys. In the Windows operating system, the Git credentials are getting stored. Go to credentials manager. Go to credential manager. In the credential manager, can you see Windows credential option? In the Windows credential option, can you see my Git account credentials are already stored here? Can you see my Git account credentials are already stored in the Windows credentials in my operating system? As my Git credentials are stored here, it is not asking my password every time. If somebody already used your laptop for their Git connectivity, then their credentials will be available. If their credentials are already configured, then you cannot push to your repository. Then what to do? If somebody credentials are already stored here, you just remove them. You just remove them. If you remove, then when you do the push, then it will ask your password, then you enter your password. So do you know how to remove the Git credentials from the Windows machine? Do you know how to remove the saved Git credentials from the Windows machine? How to remove the saved Windows credentials from the Git machine? So even from the Windows machine, go to credential manager. Go to credential manager. In the credential manager, go to Windows credentials. In the Windows credentials, already GitHub credentials are stored. Now click here. Now if you want to edit, you can edit that. Okay, if you want to remove, then you can remove. If I remove, then what will happen? When I do the push, again it will ask my credential for first time. Once you enter the credential, it is going to store your Git credentials in the credential manager Windows credentials. Anybody facing the problem with the push command? Anybody facing the problems with the push command? Then you need to remove the saved credentials, then enter the correct credentials. Then your push will become success. Guys, understood? Note. Git bash will ask our password only for first time. Git bash will ask our password only for first time. It will save our Git credentials in credential manager. In credential manager in Windows machine. In Windows machine. Go to credential manager, Windows credentials, select GitHub. You can modify and delete credentials here. We can modify and delete saved credentials from here. We can modify and delete saved credentials from here. Git bash will ask our password only for first time, because whatever the password you give, your username and password, it is going to store in the Windows credential manager. So whenever you do the push, it is going to use the same credentials. If you are working with two Git accounts, then saving will not work. You need to remove the credentials which are already saved here. This is a interview question. They will ask you how to remove saved Git credentials from your computer. Tricky question. It is a tricky question or not? Guys, it is a tricky question or not? How to remove saved credentials, saved Git credentials from your system? It is a very tricky question that they are going to ask you. It will tell how confident you are in the subject. It will tell how confident you are in the subject, guys. Samjha? All right, fine. So with this, we understood the basic operations of the Git. Next one. Now I want to see commit history, Git log, how many times I have committed. So can I say that? Can you see the commit history? Who committed, when committed, why committed, what committed? Can you see that history? Can we see the commit history? How to see the commit history? What is the command we have? Git log, Git log. Now 23 at 20:45, that means 8:45, I have done my first commit. Who committed? My name is Ashok and this is my email ID. I have committed today at 8:45. This is commit ID. Whenever you do the commit to the Git, for every commit, one commit ID will be generated. It is having 40 characters length, 40 plus characters will be available. 40 plus characters will be available in the commit ID. So here you can see that commit ID will be displayed here. 40 characters length commit ID will be available. Out of that 40, it is going to display first 7 characters here. First 7 characters here. Okay. 042, see A33B042. That is my last commit ID. So total commit ID having 40 plus characters. Out of the 40 plus characters, it is going to display first 7 characters in the Git remote repository. Can you see latest commit ID? What is my latest commit ID? A33B042. Is that the commit ID? That is the first 7 characters of the commit ID. The actual commit ID is this, which is having 40 characters length. Which is having 40 characters length. When we commit, when we do commit, when we do git commit, then it will generate a commit ID. It will generate a commit ID with 40 characters length, with 40 characters or 40 plus characters length. From this commit ID, it will display first 7 characters in GitHub central repository. It will display GitHub central repository. We can check the commit history by using git log command. We can check commit history, who committed, when committed, why committed, what committed. We can check commit history using git log command. Git log command. Interviewer will ask you, hey, you are a DevOps engineer. How can you understand who committed the changes to the repository today? How you will now, suppose for example, you are going to run the DevOps job, guys. You are going to run your Jenkins job. You are going to run your Jenkins job. So whenever you are running the Jenkins job, then what you will do? When you are running the Jenkins job, then what you are going to do, guys? What you are going to do when you are running the Jenkins job? Come on. What you are going to do when we are running the Jenkins job? We are going to build the project. The build got failed. There is some problem in the compilation. Java code not compiled successfully. How you will understand that? Who has done the latest commit? Now, so I'm a DevOps engineer. I'm trying to do the deployment of the project by using Jenkins. Jenkins has done the Git cloning. Jenkins downloaded the Git repository. Then Jenkins executed a Maven build. Maven build got failed because code not compiled successfully due to some problem in the code. How can you figure out that who is the latest, who has done the latest commit in the repository? Can we find out the latest commit done by which person by using log command? Can we check the latest commit done by which developer using log command? Yes, when you do the log command, it is going to display who has done the latest commit. Author is Ashok. This is the Ashok email ID. He has done the last commit in the repository. By using this date and a timestamp, we can check it. By using this data. Now, do you understand why we are doing the git config initially? So the git config command we are executing by configuring to configure our name and our email ID. Tomorrow, other developers can see the commit history. DevOps engineers can see the commit history to figure out who has done the last commit, who has done the commits today. That history of the commits we can figure out by using git log command. Git log command. Understood? Now, if you go to this commit ID, can you see what is the commit happened? Which file is committed? Driver.java file is committed. Driver.java file is committed. Is there anything in the driver.java? It is an empty file. It is empty file. This is a commit ID. It is a commit ID. Good. Fine. Okay. So with this, we are good with the basic commit history of the files, and we can do that commits and all. Next one. I want to create one repository, and I want to commit one Maven project directly. As of now, what I have committed just to Java files, leave it. I want to commit one Maven application. Already we have created a Maven application by using build tool. So do we have the Maven applications ready? Do we have the Maven application ready? Can we commit a whole Maven project to the repository? Can we commit a whole Maven project to the repository? Come on. Committing Maven project to Git repository. Now, see here, guys. Observe what are the steps that I'm going to follow now. Committing Maven project to the repository. Steps to commit Maven project to GitHub repository. Steps to commit Maven project to GitHub repository. Okay, what are the steps we need to do first? What are the steps we need to do first now? First step, create Maven project. Create Maven project. Okay, my Maven project is created. It is ready. Can I say my Maven project is ready? Guys, can I say my Maven project is ready? Yes, Maven project is ready. Create a Maven project. The commands also we know already how to create a Maven project. Then create GitHub repository. Create GitHub repository. Create GitHub repository. Let's go here. You can keep the same name or you can keep the different name. That's not an issue. You can keep the different name. New, I'm keeping 02 Devops Maven app. You can give any name for that. No issue. 02 Devops Maven app. I have taken. Give some description. I'm making it as a public. Click on create repository. So with this, Maven repository got created. With this, Maven repository got created. Sorry, Git repository got created. Do I need to give the same name for that repository? Whatever my project name is available, do I need to give the same name? Do I need to give the same name? Not required. Not required. Guys, observe, when you want to push a project to empty repository, then these are the commands we need to follow. If you want to push the existing project into empty repository, these are the commands you need to follow. Understood? Now let me close my git bash. So with this, what are the steps I have done? I have created Maven project. I have created git repository. It will, after creating git repository, it will display set of commands to follow. It will display set of commands to execute. Now open git bash from project folder. Outside the project folder, I need to open the git bash. Inside the project, I need to open the git bash. Do I need to open from outside or I need to open from inside? Inside. Okay, go inside the project, then open git bash. Most of the people will open outside, will try to do the operations. That's wrong. Go to project folder, open git bash. So am I able to open the git bash here? Then see what are the commands they are asking to execute. First one, git init command. Chalo, as it is, execute karo. Git init command. I have executed init. What happened when I executed init? What happened when I execute init command? Is it created a .git folder? Is it creating a .git folder, guys? Right. Now go to .git folder, open .config file, open config file now. Oh, this time URL is available or URL is not available. Git central repository URL available or URL not available? Earlier URL is available, this time URL is not available. Can you understand why it was available earlier, why it is not available now? Earlier when I opened the config file, URL was available. Now when I open the config file, URL not available. Can you understand the reason? Earlier we have done the cloning directly for the existing repository. Whatever the repository is there, earlier we have done the cloning. हम earlier clone किया था सीधा, समझा? Whenever you do the clone, you will get the repository URL, it will be configured. But in this situation, currently, are we doing any cloning or we are directly trying to push the project to the repository? There is no clone. So first time my project, I am pushing to the project. I am pushing my project to the repository. So I have not done any cloning. When you do the cloning for first time, then your config file will contain the repository URL. That means that the project is already connected to the repository. But currently my project, whenever I open this Maven app, this project, whatever the Maven project I have, is it connected to any repository or it is not connected to any repository? Is it connected to any repository or it is not connected to any repository? Not connected. How can you say that this project is not connected to the repository? How can you say that this project is not connected to repository? Go to git file, git folder, open the config file, show more options, open edit with notepad++. Is that repository URL available? Repository URL, these all are internals, guys. These all are internals. Generally, people will not explain you these internals. They will tell you. So you just need to follow these commands blindly, execute them, then work is completed. But why we need to execute this remote command? What is the purpose of specifying this URL here? Nobody will tell you. Now, are you getting the clarity? Why we need to configure this URL in the config file? Are you getting the clarity why we need to configure this URL? The URL that we are configuring in the config file will establish the link between our project and the repository in the GitHub. Currently that link is created or that link is not created? Currently, my project is having a connection with the central repository, or my project don't have a connection with the central repository. My project don't have a connection with the central repository. Come on. Now I have executed what command? Just I have executed git init command. What is this init command is doing? It is just initializing this project as a git project. It is just initializing this folder as a git folder. But link created between the project and repository? No, link is not created. Where we can check that link is created or not created between the project and the central repository? Where we can check that link is created or link is not created? We can check in the config folder, config file. We can check in the config file. Okay, link is not created now. Add readme. If you want to create a readme file, then you can add the readme. That's not required for us. Chalo. Currently, what is the status of these files now? Currently, what is the status of these files now? Can you see what is the status of these files? These are staged files, or these are unstaged files? These are untracked files. Unstaged, untracked, untracked. Why these are untracked? If the file is already available in the central repository, if it is modified, then it is unstaged. But currently, these files are available in the central repository. These files are not available in the central repository. These files are not available in the central. So these files are called as untracked files. Now, can I commit these files directly? These files are eligible for commit or not eligible for commit now? Guys, come on. These files are eligible for commit or not eligible for commit? Not eligible for commit because these files are currently untracked. So how to commit a file? What is required to commit a file? What is required to commit a file? We need to stage them. Do you know how to stage them? Git add dot. Why we are using dot here? To stage all the files. All the files are staged. How can I verify my files are staged or not staged? How can I verify my files are staged or not staged? Git status command. Right, guys, very good. Wow, so many files are staged. So many files are staged. Okay, can we commit these files now? Yes. What is the command to use to commit? Git commit -m, git commit -m. I'm saying that my first commit. I'm saying that my first commit. Okay, committed. Git status. Is there anything available? Nothing. I have committed. Can I directly push it now? I have committed now. Commit means what will happen? Commit means what will happen? It is committed to central or local? It committed to local. Then from local, how can I send to remote or central? Push. If can I execute push directly? Can I execute push directly? Why not? If I execute push, what is happening? You don't know the destination. No configured push destination, Baba. I don't know where I need to push. I don't know where I need to push. Why push is not working? Guys, why push is not working? URL is configured or URL is not configured? URL is not configured. Okay. Now let me do small thing. Git branch -m main. I'm using a default branch. This is the remote add command. Now execute this remote add command, which is used to establish the location. Now go to Git. Now go to config. Open this config file. After executing the remote add command. Now can you see the destination is configured in the config file? Now can you see the destination is configured in the config file? Which command is configuring the destination in the config file? Can I say remote add command? Can I say remote add command is configuring the destination? All right. All right. Guys, what is the purpose of the branch? We'll come to the branches later point of time. Forget about it. We'll come to the branches later point of time. Forget about it. Now, so here I have added the remote add command. then execute this git push -u origin main. I have given the branch as a main, so I'm telling that it should go to main branch. Now push it. Git push -u origin main. Now refresh. Now did I get my Maven project? Did I get my Maven project to the GitHub repository? Yes or no? Now how? So now I am a developer. I created my project and I have pushed my initial project structure to GitHub. Then how other developers will take the project? They will take the repository URL, they will clone it, they will modify, they will push the changes to the repository. As a DevOps engineer, how you will take this repository? You will take this git clone. You will take the git clone. That's it. Now currently here, target folder also pushed. But actually, do we need to push the target folder? Do we need to push the target folder? Then how can I tell that target folder should not be considered for the pushing, should not consider for the commit? How can I tell that target folder should not be considered for the commits? How can I ignore the target folder? By creating .git ignore file. By creating .git ignore file, we can exclude some files and folders from the commits by using .git ignore. We will come to that later. Right? So are you able to open git bash from the project folder and execute below commands? Okay. Open git bash from project folder and execute bit below commands. What are the commands? Git init command. Git init command. After git init command, what is the next step? Git status. You can see the status. Then after git commit -m commit message. Commit message. Then after $git branch -m main. Then we are going for git remote add. So what is the command I have executed? Git remote add origin repository URL. Origin repo URL. Once we have done that, then what we will do? Git push -u origin master. This is the procedure we need to follow when you want to commit the Maven project to the repository for first time. Okay. This is the procedure you need to follow when you want to commit to the repository, when you want to commit the whole Maven project to the repository for first time. When you want to commit the whole Maven project to the repository for first time, you need to follow these steps, guys. Read these steps and commands I have executed. Okay, git status ke baad we need to add it, guys. Sorry, git add dot. Yes. What is commit? Commit is used to send the changes to git local repository. It is a storing. It is a storing. Origin link is our repository URL, sir. Here you can see the repository URL. That is the repository URL. You can get the repository URL from here. Okay. Git init, which is used to initialize git folder. It will create a .git folder. Git status to check. Sir, I told you branches I will tell later. Please, please ignore the branches for timing. Branches is a big concept. It will take 2 hours to understand. Okay. So this single line will take 2 hours to understand. For time being, leave it. It is 2 hours concept. Branch, git branches, branch strategy, branch merging, lot of things are there. We'll talk about them. So for time being, we are trying to push one Maven project into git repository. Okay, Ram Krishna, git log will show local logs or central logs. So it is going to show you your logs, whatever you committed from your local logs, it is going to show you. So first we are going to create a Maven project. Once we create the Maven project, then we have created a Git repository. We are going to create a Git repository. After creating the Git repository, it will display set of commands to execute. Now, let me create one more repository, guys. Let me create one more repository. Go to the repository section, create a new repository name. Let me create 01 Devops Maven app 2. I'm giving another name for this, public create repository. That's it. Now, is it giving all the commands for you? Is it giving all the commands for you or not? Do you need to by heart the commands? Do you need to by heart the commands? No. So whenever you create a new repository, it is giving the commands for you. You just need to execute these commands. So here we have a init command. What is the purpose of init command? What is the purpose of init command? To initialize our folder as a Git repository folder. Then what is git add command? If you want to create a new file, you can add that. Now, before doing the commit, whatever the files you have created, you need to add them by using git add dot. The files that we have, those files we are adding, right? I have given the same commands here. Git init command, which is used to initialize our folder. Then git status command. Git init command, which is used to initialize our folder as a git repo folder. Then I have given git status command. Then I have given git add dot. What is the purpose of add dot? Whatever the Maven project files are available here, whatever the Maven project files are available, I want to add the files to git staging area. Git add dot, it is adding all the files. Then git commit -m, commit log. What is the meaning of git commit? Commit means whatever the files are available in our system, it will go to git local repository. That is a temporary area, local repository. Commit, guys, here there is a chat that you need to understand. This is our laptop. This is our laptop. We are working from one folder, and this is GitHub Central. This is GitHub Central repo, I can say central repo. Where this central repo is available? Central repo is available in github.com. This is my central repo. For the central repo, we have a repo URL where we can store our project. This is my laptop. This is my laptop. Currently, I'm working from here. Git practice folder. Assume that. I am working from here, Git practice folder. I am working from here. Now here I have one Maven app. I have one Maven app. Now, when I do the commit, this Maven app will come to Git local repository. Git will maintain one local repository in our system. Git will maintain one. How Maven local repository available, Git also will have a one local repository. Okay, from the local repository only, it will talk to central repository. Okay, here we need to do git commit. When you do git commit, then the changes will move from our practice folder to git local repo. This Maven app, wherever I have this is called as working tree. This is called as working tree. So initially we are creating the files in the working tree. We are creating the files in the working tree. Now my working tree is available. This is my working tree. In that working tree, when I do the git commit, it will go to git local repository. When I do the git push, it will go from the local repository to git central repository. Do you understand why commit, why push? Do you understand what is commit and what is push? Sachin, are you getting the clarity now? Here I have my files. I have my files. So this is my project. This area is called as what area, guys? It is a working tree, or it is a local repository, or it is a central repository. My C drive, users, my project folder. What is this? What is this location in terms of Git? What is this location in terms of the Git? It is my working tree where I am local repository. Yeah. Ajit, क्या हुआ भाई? It is my working tree where I am doing my work, where I am doing my changes, where I am modifying my code. That is called as working tree. That is called as working tree. That is my folder, Maven project. That is my working tree. I'm making my changes. Now, so whatever that now you see, guys, you see here simple. There is a pom.xml. There is a pom.xml. I'm going to make some changes to pom.xml. JUnit 3.8.1 is there. Na? Let me change to 4.8.1. I have changed my pom.xml. Now tell me where I have done the changes. In which area my changes are available now? In which area my changes are available now? My changes are available in the local repository or central repository or in the working tree. I have modified my pom.xml where my changes are available. My changes are not available in the central. My changes are not available in the local repository. My changes are available in the working tree where I am doing my regular work. That is called working tree. Now, can I send my changes? I have modified pom.xml due to some requirement. My project is running on JUnit 3.5.1 version. Currently, my client told that upgrade to JUnit 4.8.1. चलो ठीक है, मैं Maven dependency version update किया. Now, that change I have done in working tree. Now, can you tell me how can I move the change from working tree to the Git log? Can I directly send the changes from the working tree to central repository? Is it possible? Can I directly send the changes from my working tree to Git central repository? Can I do that? Is it going to allow me? Is it going to allow me? It is not. It is not going to. Whenever you do the changes, what is the thing that you need to do first? First, you need to commit the changes to local. From working tree, your changes should come to local. How to move the changes from the working tree to local? What is the command available? Git commit command is available. So whatever the changes you have done in the local, those changes are in your working tree. From your working tree, the changes should come to the local repository. From the local repository, you need to push the changes to central repository. You cannot directly execute the push command. First, you need to commit the changes. Commit nothing but whatever the changes we have done in the working tree, those changes should come to local repository. From the local repository, you need to push the changes to central repository. Where is the central repository? Central repository is available in the github.com. Where is the local repository? It is created in our system. Now getting the clarity, the difference between commit and push. Can I commit every file I have modified? Can I commit every file I have modified? Or I need to commit only files which are staged? Create the files, modify the files, stage them, commit them, push them. Understand the flow. Understand the flow. Create a file or modify the file. Create a file or modify a file. Create or modify the file. Create or modify the file. Stage the file. Stage the file. Commit the file. Push the file. This is the order. Can we skip any one step here? Can I skip? Can I skip? I don't like number one. I want to skip it. Can I skip that? No. Can I skip the second step? Can I skip the third step? Can I skip the fourth step? I need to follow everything. I need to follow everything. We can't skip any step from here. Now, earlier some people asked me, sir, why it is, what is a commit, what is a push? Now with this diagram, I hope you got the clarity. What is a commit, what is a push? Working tree, local repository, central repository. Okay, so always the changes will go like this. Working tree से local repository को जाता है भाई. Local repository से central repository को जाता है. हम working tree पे काम करते हैं. We will create the files or we will modify the files. From the working tree, then we will commit to local repo. From local repo, हम central repository को push करते हैं. समझा? Guys, I don't know. Yesterday, one student came to our institute. He told that, sir, I have completed the Devops in the other institute. So is there any job opportunity? He came to our institute and he asked me. I completed the Devops in the other institute. Now I am searching for a job. I'm not selecting in the interviews. I have given 10 interviews as of now. I'm not getting selected in the interview. So could you please help me? I came to know that you are teaching DevOps. Is there any job opportunity for the DevOps? Then I asked that guy actually out of curiosity, how many days your trainer explained Maven? One day, sir. He told me how to create Maven project, how to execute Maven package goal. Okay, war file is created. We need only war file to deploy into server. That's it. How many days Git? 2 days. One day Git setup, one day Git commands completed. That is how DevOps trainers are teaching the Git and Maven outside. Now think that will that person get selected in the interview with that knowledge? One day he learned Maven 1 hour session, 2 hours session he learned GitHub. Katham. Got my point, guys? How people are learning outside. When you are learning something, learn it perfectly. Spend some time extra, no problem. Some people will ask me, sir, already 3 months completed. How many days it is going to take? Sir, 3 months completed. How many days it is going to take? I have one question. You already wasted 25 years. You already wasted 25 years. Can't you spend 1 month extra to learn more subject? Already you wasted 25 years. Now you realized you joined in the course. Within 3 months, you want to complete the course. You want to get the job also. And you want to survive in that job. Is it possible with 3 months of knowledge? Linux, AWS, DevOps, everything. Within 3 months, can you learn that all the things? Can you manage the work in the company? Can you survive in the company? Without knowing all these internals, how can you crack the interview? How you will survive in the company? People will say DevOps with AWS 45 days job guarantee. Kaise bhai? How? 45 days DevOps and AWS job guarantee program. 45 days we have spent only for Linux. If anybody teaching DevOps within 45 days, within 2 months, AWS DevOps, that means that course is not complete. It's partial subject they are giving you. Please realize. So don't bother about the duration of the course. Bother about the quality of the course. How much content you are learning. What is the quality that you are going to get here? You have to focus on that part. If you spend 1 month extra, nothing will happen. IT industry will not close. You will not die. Spend the time to learn the more subject. so that you can get good job, good package. You can easily survive if you know the internals of all these tools. DevOps engineer means you have to work with the tools only. You are not going to write any code in the company. DevOps engineer means you are not going to write any code. DevOps engineer means you are going to work with the tools only. So you need to know each and everything about the tool. You need to know the internals of the tools, how they are working, what is the you should be able to troubleshoot the problems with the tools. Then you are called as a perfect DevOps engineer. Somebody will say that I'm unable to push the code to Git repository. What is the issue? You have to troubleshoot. Somebody will say that I'm saying that incorrect credential. Then you need to realize GitHub Git bash will ask a password only one time. Then what about the next time? Somewhere it is storing. Where it is storing? Credential manager. We can remove that from the credential manager. Then it will ask the password again. Then we can enter the new password. That maturity you need to have when you are working with the software. When you are working with a tool, that maturity is required for you. Somebody may say that my password is not accepting. What is the reason? How to fix it? That knowledge you need to have. You should be able to resolve your problems on your own. Tomorrow, nobody will help you in the company, guys. Tomorrow, can you go to your manager, say that I am trying to push it. I think it is not working. Maybe somebody stored their password. I don't know where is that password. Can you give me new laptop so that I will install the Git bash freshly? Can you go and ask it? In the company, you have selected for a project. They have given you a project laptop which is already used by other project member. He left the company, you joined the company. They gave the laptop which is used by other DevOps engineer. He connected to some Git repository. Now you are connecting to another Git repository. It is not accepting because this password is already configured. Then can you go to your manager and tell that it is not taking my password, please give me a new laptop? Or you need to solve that problem? Come on. Please guys, respond to my question. Can you ask your manager, give me a new laptop because it is not accepting my password? You cannot. You should know how to solve it. So that is the internals that you need to know. Okay. Good. Now, so do you understand what is working tree? What is local repo? What is central repo? Now you understand what is working tree, what is local repo, what is central repo. Central repo nothing but it is maintained by GitHub. Central repo is maintained by GitHub. Now we are doing the changes in the working tree. Now can you see git status? Oh, there is a file which got modified. So what is the status of this file? Bhaiya, can you tell me what is the status of this file? File is staged, unstaged, or untracked? File is not staged. So where is this currently? Where this file changes are available? Where the changes are available currently? Local repository, yeah? Working tree, yeah? Changes are available in working tree. People are still giving wrong answer. Guys, I'm getting laugh. After explaining with this beautiful diagram also, you are telling that it is in the local repository. What to do, man? आप लोग बच गए यार. It is an online class. If it is offline ना, घुमा के थप्पड़ मारता हूँ. If you give the wrong answer. The file is modified. Currently that file is in my working tree. Now tell me, how can I send the changes from working tree to local repo? How can I send the changes from working tree to local repo? What is the command? Commit command. Can I do the commit directly? Can I do the commit directly? No. Then what should I do? I need to add the file to staging area. How can I add the file to staging area? Git add dot. Now see the status. File status is modified. Now, where is this file available currently? Where is this file available currently? Working tree. Again, Avinash, you are giving wrong answer. Is it in the local repository? Did I commit it? Did I committed that file? Then why it will go to local repo? How it will go to local repo? Still it is in my working tree. I just staged it. Still that file is in the working tree. I have just done the staging. Now it is ready for commit. It is eligible for commit. Chalo. Now, can you tell me how to commit it? Git commit -m commit message modified JUnit version. What is the change I have done in the pom.xml? I have modified JUnit version. I have modified JUnit version. Okay, committed. Now tell me, where is this pom.xml change available? Is it in working tree or in local or in central? It is available in the working tree plus local repository also. Now my change is moved to local repository. From the local, can I move to central? Can I send the change from local to central? Which command I need to use now? I need to use git push command. Is it asking my password or it is not asking my password? It is not asking. Why it is not asking? Why it is not asking? It is already stored in the credential manager. Now tell me how my project folder, how my working tree is linked to GitHub central repository. How the link happened here, how the connection happened between this repository and this project local. My laptop is having a folder. How this project is linked to that central repository? Where is that connection? Where is that mapping? Where is that mapping? Remote add origin config file. Config file contains that connection. Understood? Okay. Git init right now. Git init. Next one, I am creating one file, touch whatever the file is available. Git init file is available. Then git add dot. Then git commit -m commit message. Then I'm giving git branch. Branches I will explain guys later. Git branch -m main branch. Then I am doing git remote add origin. Origin nothing but main URL I have to specify. Then I need to do git push git git push -u origin master. Git push -u origin main. Git push -u origin main. Origin master or main. क्या ठीक है main. Whatever the branch name I have given, same branch name I am going to give. Origin means the default branch. Now can you see? Can you refresh this project? Whichever we have created previously, that project which we have refreshed. If you see that, there you can find out that what is that main. Let me go to the repository we have created. Your repositories now 01 DevOps. Can you okay? Where we have committed, man? Oh, 02 DevOps, 01 DevOps app. Yeah. Where is the project? Can you see here main is coming, the branch name? Can you see main is coming as a branch name? What is the branch? I will explain you. If you have that excitement to see what is the branch in the GitHub playlist, it is the third video. I have told you I have uploaded the GitHub videos, right? So if you have that curiosity, I want to know what is branch today, then we have a GitHub playlist, guys. So if you go through that GitHub playlist, in that third video, I have explained about what are the branches in the GitHub. If you have time, you can go through that video. कहाँ गया? हाँ, here I explained working with Git branches. What is Git branch? How to work with the Git branch, master repo, master branch, demo repository. Now, how to work with the branches that I have explained in the fourth video. If you have interest, you can go through that. I will explain in the class also. Branch. Here, how much time I spent for branches? 1 hour 15 minutes. I explained for branches. Okay. I will take a class for that. Now, with this, are you clear how to push one Maven project into GitHub remote repository? How to push one Maven project into GitHub repository? Yes, we are able to understand how to push the project into GitHub repository. Yeah. Now, how other developers can take my project now? How other developers can take my project? By using git clone command. So with this, tell me what are the commands we have learned so far? Git help command we learned, git config command we learned, git status command, git init command we learned, git status command we have learned, git add command we have learned, git commit command we have learned, or git restore, git commit -m message command, git push, git clone, git log. So can we say we have learned these commands as of now? Are you confident with these commands? Git remote add command also we have learned. Git remote add command. When to go for remote add command? When you want to commit a fresh project to the fresh repository, you need to create the link between your project folder to repository. Then git remote add command we are going to execute. Okay. Fine guys. So please practice whatever we have discussed so far. Tomorrow we will work with the remaining commands. Remote add only you need to do for first time. No need to do multiple times. Only for first time you need to do the remote add. So you no need to do it for multiple times guys. Only पहले बार आप करना पड़ेगा. Let me upload my notes to the GitHub. Okay, so all of you please practice whatever the work that we have done in the class today. So another 1 or 2 days of time I need to complete to GitHub guys. Another 1 or 2 days of time I need to complete the GitHub. Once GitHub is completed, then immediately I will start the Jenkins. Okay for you? People are sending emails when the course will complete. Course will complete. What is the use of completing the course with half knowledge? Learn the subject properly to attend the interviews. Okay. People are interested to complete the course, not to get the job. Yes. Now look at this diagram. Working tree. From working tree, we are doing commit. If you go to git local repo will be created in our folder. Where the .m2 folder is created, there only you can see the .git folder, git local repo. From the local repo to send to the central, we will use git push command. central repository will store. People can do the cloning from the central repository. Fine guys, thank you. With this I'm stopping for today. We'll continue tomorrow. Bye bye. Good night.